Good evening and welcome to this Friday night edition of Newsmax Prime. I'm J.D. Hayworth. This final Friday of October may have given us all the ultimate October surprise. Of prime interest tonight, the news that the FBI has reopened its investigation of Hillary Clinton. The way I see it, this development could very well alter the outcome of the election. While there are Clinton supporters cautioning us that this may be an overreaction, the fact remains that usually the FBI goes to great lengths to delay any criminal investigation that could have an impact on the political process. The fact that this announcement comes 11 days before the presidential election would appear to indicate the FBI has genuine concerns about very sensitive evidence. In all likelihood, it pertains to our national security. Of course, that's been the suspicion all along, that emails on an unsecured server could fall into the wrong hands. And despite the wailing of the Democrat Cassandras that this was somehow instigated by the Russians, the New York Times reported late this afternoon that these latest emails have come through the investigation of former Congressman Anthony Weiner, whose estranged wife, Huma Abedin, is Hillary Clinton's closest aide and confidant. Now, the Clinton machine is much less confident of its success on Election Day, but there could be one source of reassurance, at least when it comes to avoiding criminal prosecution. If this really escalates, don't be surprised if President Obama claims executive privilege of a wider scope than we've ever seen in our history. And since he commuted the prison sentences of 98 inmates yesterday, including 42 who were serving life terms, none of us should be surprised if he issues preemptive pardons to anyone and everyone who may be involved in this. So, Mrs. Clinton may not end up back in the White House, but with a presidential pardon, she will most certainly avoid the big house. At least that's the way I see it. For reaction and analysis, let's turn now to Newsmax TV political analyst Dick Morris, who joins us via Skype. Dick, of course, the author of the New York Times bestseller, Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. As always, Dick, we appreciate your time tonight on Newsmax Prime. Now, as I mentioned, the reports earlier that this reopening has come somehow through the investigation of Anthony Weiner. Can you connect the dots for us on all of this?
Well, I think this is obviously a very serious scandal. And you've got to remember how the FBI got these emails. They got it in an investigation of Anthony Weiner to determine if his sexting young people crossed state lines, which would trigger federal jurisdiction. Now, that means that Huma Abedin probably had these emails on her computer, and she was subpoenaed by the Congressional Committee and by the FBI. And if that means that there are 1,000 emails or more that she did not turn over to those agencies, that per se is a crime. And it puts Huma over an enormous barrel. And Huma obviously has the goods to go public about Hillary in a big way. And even if she doesn't, the emotional impact on Hillary of her closest aide, closest confidant, and what some have referred to as her second daughter, being enmeshed in this is really significant. It's so odd, isn't it, how Hillary always she'll secret it away. We'll give them everything else, but they'll never find this. I know I'll be in the clear, and then bang, it blows up on her. It's just experiences like this that led me to believe she should not be president.
And led you, of course, to write Armageddon, but I'm not sure you had quite this type of finish in mind. It's like a political novel. But back to the reality of today. Dick, FBI Director James Comey wrote key congressional chairman earlier today explaining that the FBI was reopening the investigation. And after that, once the word got out, it reached Donald Trump, who was campaigning in Manchester, New Hampshire. Here's what the Donald had to say about it.
I have great respect for the fact that the FBI and the Department of Justice are now willing to have the courage to right the horrible mistake that they made.
Dick, Director Comey said in his various letters that he did not know how long it would take to get a resolution. Now, this goes back to the whole timing, because really, and you may have a couple of instances in mind where it's worked the other way, but by and large, the Bureau says it tries to stay out of the political process. The timing of this comes, as you mentioned, at a time most unfortunate, to say the least, for Mrs. Clinton.
Sure, it doesn't even matter much how the ultimate resolution is. The impact is the immediate one on the election. And it comes at a time when Hillary is falling apart. The ABC poll had Hillary 12 ahead on Monday, 9 ahead on Wednesday, 4 ahead today. Fox News had her 7 ahead, and then 6 ahead, and then 3 ahead. And I discovered in analyzing that data that Trump's margin among blue-collar men and women, high school graduate.
Dick, let me follow up on that. As you're delving into the data on high school graduates, you are seeing what, a decided break for Trump? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes, downscale voters are breaking significantly for Trump. In the Fox News poll of 10 days ago, Trump had a 16-point lead among high school men. Now he has a 30-point lead. And his lead among high school graduate women is up by 7 points. Now, traditionally, the downscale voter comes home at the end when he begins to pay attention to the election. But usually it breaks pro-Democrat, because usually downscale voters are more likely to vote Democratic. But in this election, they're more likely to vote for Trump, and it's giving Trump a big burst. The other thing, don't forget, is the Obamacare premiums, the revelation of Doug Bann's memo yesterday about how the Clinton Foundation worked as a racket, and finally, that Trump is starting his negative ads and is all over the place with these and has not been before. Those are all coming together as a perfect storm with this FBI revelation, and that could well be enough to tip the race.
Dick, you have had more than a nodding acquaintance with presidential politics. In fact, for Bill Clinton, you worked pretty hard in 1996. Imagine how this is working out today in the Trump campaign. As a matter of fact, Kellyanne Conway was seen on camera reacting to this news, and here's what Kellyanne had to say.
I think what the reopening does is it reminds everyone of a few things, that there's not a great deal of transparency and accountability throughout Hillary Clinton's career, including when she was Secretary of State and including all through the original FBI investigation. I think this close to the election, Trish, it suggests that there has to be something of significance.
Your reaction to the way Kelly brought that all together in an earlier television appearance?
Yeah, she'd be a good TV anchor for this, not to throw her, but to put it together like this. You know, I have a historical reality. The FBI give it and the FBI take it away. Bill Clinton would never have been elected president in 1992 had Lawrence Weinberger, the special prosecutor, not announced that he was to indict Weinberger, a prominent member of Bush's cabinet, 4 days before Election Day. And Bush and Bill won the election. And now it looks like it's happening in reverse.
Yeah, that was Lawrence Welch as a special prosecutor dealing with Cap Weinberger. And as you mentioned that's why I said there may be 1 or 2 incidents. You point out again what Mark Twain said so long ago: history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And one of the things that changes this around a little bit, Dick, is the fact that most of us got the news via social media. For example, I was on the air on America Talks Live when Congressman Jason Chaffetz tweeted this out a little after 1 o'clock Eastern. FBI Director just informed me the FBI has learned of the existence of emails that appear to be pertinent to the investigation. Case reopened. And how? And now with this social media, you know, it's been interesting thus far, Dick, and you and I have talked about it, the fact that the corporate media has done its best to steer clear of all the uncomplimentary news for Hillary. Can they still, in effect, censor this kind of news?
No, they can't at this point. It's out there. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. There are no debates left for her to obfuscate it. It comes at a terrible time for her. And she, I think...
And because this timing, 11 days out, let me put the shoe on the other foot. Dick, just pretend that all is well and good between you and Hillary. What would your advice be?
I do not.
The thought is so shocking that the Skype froze. Let's see if let me try it again, because I think, Dick, the connection's kind of wearing out. Now, I know you might want to play CIA. You can't confirm nor deny. But just playing that role, what would you be telling Hillary right now?
Listen, I got out of the business of advising Hillary, JD, for a very good reason. And I'm not about to get back into it tonight.
All right, the world will not know. You heard from Dick Morris that in this instance, Hillary is on her own. But I expect she's getting some advice from elsewhere. Dick Morris, as always, we appreciate your insights and analysis. Now, what seems like eons ago was the story in the AP poll that 2/3 of Trump supporters will question the results if Hillary wins. Hey, that may increase given today's news. Andrea Kaye and Jeff Crower join us to talk about that and more as Newsmax Prime continues.